People who made a marriage pact with someone like, if we are both single by the time we are 40, let's get married, and went through with it. How did it go? When we were 25, one of my best friends and I decided that at 35 we'd get married if we were still single. She moved back to the same town I lived in a year later, and I realized I loved her too much to wait until 35. Been together 2 years now. We are getting married next week. Congratulations. I got married last month. Sorry you're experiencing the dumpster fire that is the coronavirus. Lol. It's certainly thrown us a few curveballs. Some actually for the better though. Now we get to have a small wedding in the forest, like we were originally trying to have. AWH. I'm so happy that it worked out for you guys, and you get the wedding that you wanted. Did you get to go on your honeymoon yet, or is that a no-go? Best friend since we were really young. Always had crushes on each other off and on. In high school, our timing was awful and we never ended up dating, but we did make a marriage pact. If we were both single at 30 years old, we'd getting married. Some years passed. We moved away from each other, grew distant, dated other people. Long story short, we are now back in each other's lives, and I'm reasonably sure we are going to make good on the pact earlier than originally anticipated. That's a good story to hear. Hallmark enters the chat. There was a record-setting blizzard, and the hotshot business executive was only supposed to be in town for the afternoon. With her flight delayed, she had time to meet her old best friend for coffee. He owns a Christmas tree farm. My friend and I got drunk one night and said if we're single in 5 years let's get married. 5 years later we got married, dated for 2 years before that. Just celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary and have a baby girl and an amazing life. So, technically you shouldn't have gotten married. They should have broke up first. If they can't commit to their promise of marrying each other while single, how can they commit to marriage? I had an uncle who did this with a girl for when they turned 35. They turned 35 and laughed it off, but ended up dating instead. A few years later they got married. I think most who do it are already interested in the other. They just don't want to admit it yet. Edit. Since this got a ton of response, I asked my uncle's wife for the full story. They were both amused. And my uncle also texted the family group chat to brag they were Reddit famous, which led to many middle-aged people confused about what Reddit was. Anyways, they made the deal in college. They barely kept in touch after college. However, she moved back to the city and met back up through old friends. That's when they began to get closer and joke about the whole 35 thing once more. For his birthday, instead of having party, he just invited her out for dinner, which led her to joke, "Oh, are you going to propose?" And they laughed. But during dinner they started discussing what it would look like if they started dating. Within the month they began. Guys, I'm nearly 35. I turned 35 today. Edit. Seriously, everyone. Thank you all so much. It's not been an awesome year for anyone, I know. But I really do appreciate everyone taking a moment out of their day to wish me a happy birthday. I've been kinda bummed because my mom hasn't called or sent me a text. It's kinda weird that internet strangers can cheer you up when you're not even expecting it. Thanks again, everyone. I'm trying to reply to everyone, but it might take a little while. I'm drinking a birthday beer and thinking that I'm pretty lucky to have strangers wish me a happy birthday. But we all know that we are friends now. And to everyone who shares the 9/9 birthday, happy birthday. Will you marry me? Yes. I made this pact with my best friend in high school. Several years down the road we ended up being together, but long before the time frame was up. We will be married next year. I feel like this is how it usually goes. It's the haha what if we got married. Wouldn't that be so crazy haha of close friendships? Wouldn't it be crazy as complete Reddit strangers if we just got married right now? Haha, that would be so random. Holds up spork. To give to you as a wedding gift. Had this happen with a best friend of mine. She said if both of us were single at 35, we'd get married to each other. 2 years later, I ask her out. She is taken aback, ghosts me for a year, then invites me to her wedding. I had no hard feelings, so went anyways. Ouch. I've made a pact with 2 people and neither of them know. When you all hit 40, that'll be a weird reunion. I made a baby pact with a friend, i.e. if I hit a certain age that I now can't remember, he would impregnate me. I knew we wouldn't be good together romantically, but he was a solid best friend and would have been a great dad. It was also a safety net for me that helped me leave an abusive relationship. I had been convinced that no one else would ever love me and I'd never be a mum. Anyway, he ended up introducing me to my now husband, who I have a child with, while he is married to someone far better suited to his personality than me. So I'd say it worked out for the best for everyone. So by introducing you to your husband, I guess he did impregnate you. Sorta. It's like he impregnated her with extra steps. 6 degrees of impregnation. My best friend growing up and I made this pact. We were 13 to 14 at the time. The pact was, if we didn't marry anyone by 30, we would marry each other. A few years later, we moved it to 25. By the time we were 19 to 20, we started dating. We got married at 22. Just celebrated our 3rd anniversary. You should have another wedding at 30, a party. Don't actually do that to your families. They should just get divorced and married all over again. That is some commitment to the pact. Or just get married again. Hey babe, let's get plural. In my early 20s, I would hook up with this chick here and there. We were actually pretty good friends, but we never really hung out outside of social groups, which is a shame. She was fun as hell, and we always kind of found ourselves in the corner ignoring the group. Anyways, we made a pact that, if we weren't in a relationship by 30, we would get married. Turns out she got back with her ex. It's been 10 years, and she reminded me of our marriage pact. I had completely forgotten. We are both married now. To other people. We still talk here and there, and sometimes she tells me that she thinks we would have made a great couple. So I worry that she's not too happy where she is. I haven't seen her in person in years. Edit. I guess I should add to the I worry she's not happy where she is statement. We are both 35. She's married. 2 kids. Stay at home mom. Great husband. He just works about 80 hours a week. I'm married. No kids. Wife is full-time student. I work full-time. We have the ability to up and move and do whatever short of grad school. We travel when we can, which is pretty frequently. We just up and move to another state for my wife to start her grad school program. Grass is greener. Yeah, no, I mean, for both of us. I have wondered where my life would be if I was to get married and have kids when I was younger. I'm sure she wonders about traveling the world at the drop of a hat and not being tied down to any place in particular. We both reminisce about the easier days of when we worked together, would make money on a night shift at the restaurant, and would go blow it at the bar hanging out with everyone. And we have never really stopped chatting. I was invited to her wedding. Her husband knows we chat. My wife knows we chat. This sounds like the plot to a slice of life anime. Yeah, a painful one. One that ends horribly and pisses every fan base off because the author is too much of a coward to just decide on one girl. So he tries to take this middle ground of I'll please everyone, and it just turns into a dumpster fire of bad writing and logic that forever ruins the memory of the entire series. Yeah, I've been burned by romance manga in the past. Why do you ask? If you haven't watched Toradora or High Score Girl, you should. My wife said she made this pact with a guy who took it seriously, I guess. We went to high school together, so I know of him, and he randomly calls 10 years later and asked my wife if she is still with me. She said yes, and he hung up, and we haven't heard since. Lol. That I know of anyway. Always that 1% chance of something. Oh Jesus. The poor guy. He was actually a good looking guy. It was really random, and honestly this was a while back. I actually was good friends with his high school girlfriend. He had a thing for my then girlfriend slash now wife, I guess. More than a thing, I'd imagine. From the way he made that call. Unfortunate situation for him. But we all have our own lives to live. And we choose who we love, maybe, and get married to, certainly. It's interesting to read these and wonder if I've ever made a pact with someone myself. Not that it matters. I'm with a great partner and life is settling into place. Weird story that I would have died with me and not let my wife know, since she asked me a few times when we were younger and she was more insecure. Me and his girlfriend from high school, my friend, sort of liked each other but didn't want it to evolve because we valued our friendship more than a possible relationship. Also, the confession came when I told her I liked my now wife and she was dating that guy who called my wife randomly. We actually stopped talking during college for unknown reasons, but probably because we were both in a relationship and moved on. We saw each other and a mutual friend's wedding and caught up a bit and re-exchanged numbers to go catch up some more. But we never did. Part of me wanted to value a friendship and keep in touch, but I didn't want to test it.